So before I talk about the next step in this problem, I want to just review with you real quick about what it is exactly that we're doing. We're using the elimination process just to get rid of one of the three variables in this equation. So it doesn't matter which one we pick, I'm going to pick x. So I'm going to eliminate x. And when I eliminate x, I got to pick two equations. I'm going to pick 1 and 2. And I'm going to multiply 2 by -1. Now, you might say, well, what good will that do? Well, I'm just going to write x minus 3y plus 2z equals 1, negative x plus 2y minus 3z equals -5. Another way you could do this, if they're the exact same, you could just subtract the two equations, but I always like adding just because it gets the signs always to match up. Okay, so these eliminate. I'm left with negative y minus z equals a -4. So there's my first equation that's part of my system that only has two variables in it. Now I'm going to pick 1 and 3, but I need to multiply 1 by a -2. So here's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get -2x plus 6y minus 4z equals -2. I get 2x minus 6y plus 4z equals 3. Now, these are opposites, so I'm going to add them. But if you notice here, these eliminate. 6, -6 eliminate. 4, -4 eliminate. So there's nothing on the left side anymore. But there is a +1 on this side. So if I put this over here, it wouldn't make sense to say 0 is equal to -1. So how do I deal with that if 0 is equal to 0 is equal to 1? Well, that's false. And anytime you try and use elimination or substitution and you deal with a false statement, you get something that has no solution. So because we had a false statement, there is no solution for this. Okay? So because we got to this point, there is no solution. What I really want to talk about is how you deal with when you get to this step, when there is going to be a solution. And what I want to talk about, I kind of jumped back to the top of the page. We created this new set of equations in our system. So what we need to do with this is now use the same tactics we used to solve for a system of two equations before. Okay, so I'm going to solve for this equation. Notice that these two are exactly the opposite. So I'm going to use elimination again. And again, this is sad because you probably feel like this is a lot of work, but it is. And it's a very delicate process. So I add these two things together, these cancel out. So I'm left with 4x equals 16 divided by 4. I'm left with x equals 4. So I'm going to just write this up here for now. So the question is, now what do I do? Well, I'm going to pick 4 and plug it into one of these two equations. Doesn't matter which one. I could even pick one of these. But I'm going to pick the top one. So 2 times x, or 2 times 4, minus z equals 3. So 8 minus z equals 3. I'm going to subtract 8. Negative z equals -5. Take out the negatives, I'm left with z equals a +5. So z is equal to a positive 5. So now we have to find out what y is. So I'm going to take and plug in either x or y into one of these equations. It doesn't matter which one. And I'm going to take and plug z into this equation here. 2y plus z, which is 5, equals 7. Minus 5, I get 2y equals 2. Divide by 2, I get y is equal to 1. So I have 3 answers. Now, when you had 2 before, we write it as an ordered pair. And with 3 answers, you do the exact same thing, except you just extend it out one more number. It's an ordered triple. So what I'm going to talk about next is how you deal with different ones. So to kind of summarize this, again, sorry for the delay, there's a glitch on my computer. The goal is to create a new system, and now with this new system I'm going to use the same process that I did before. I'm going to eliminate a variable. It doesn't matter which one I choose. I'm going to multiply this by 3 and this by 5, so I get 15x minus 9y equals 42. Negative 15x plus 21y equals a negative 145. I'm going to add these two equations together. I get 12y equals what appears to be a negative 103. This should not be 21 because I'm timesing it by 5. This should be 35. And hopefully that deals with the issue. So 35 plus that would be 24. And this is off by a little bit as well. My apologies. Trying to do this in my head. 29 times 5 is not 145. It is... No, that was right.